How much of the trailers for this movie have you guys kept hidden from fans?
I think the marketing for this movie has been fantastic. Disney's done an amazing job. And I think the tone of the trailers are exactly what the movie wants to be. But yeah, there's still some surprises left in store.
What's one moment in the movie that you're personally the most excited for fans to see?
You know, I don't want to spoil too much, but I will say this is a movie that has a tremendous amount of heart. And there's a really great scene between him and Danny Ramirez, between Sam Wilson and Joaquin, that I think speaks to why these characters are beloved around the world and the MCU is. It's about heart.
How has your approach to these films evolved from Steve Rogers' trilogy to now building out Sam Wilson's era as Captain America?
Yeah, I mean, look, they're completely different men with different emotional issues, right? Like Steve was a man out of time, he was a soldier first. I think his approach to being Captain America was kind of leading by example. You know, if you think about it, when Steve met Sam, Sam was already counseling vets. You know, he is more charismatic, he's a man of the modern world. I think Sam, if he had his druthers, would solve problems by finding common ground rather than throwing a punch. But when push comes to shove, Sam can hold his own. But he is human.
And Sam's got a very specific way of fighting. I love that he's sort of armored up with the Wakanda armor. And how does Sam's Captain America fight differently than Steve Rogers in this film, considering, you know, Sam doesn't have the super soldier serum?
He's not conventionally superpowered. He doesn't have a serum, right? He's not a billionaire, yet at the same time, he's still incredibly formidable. So I wanted the action design to reflect the fact that this is somebody who gets inventive. And then, as you mentioned, there's those incredible wings that, whether he's up against a jet or a Hulk, he's absorbing energy. It's so amazing because it's consistent with his character. He's taking what is being thrown at him and then he's finding a way to use it against that adversary. And that was what was so special about him having this Wakandan tech.
I know Seth Rollins was like originally attached to this film, but I don't think he made the final cut. Was there any particular reason why Seth didn't end up in the final version of the film?
You know, when you're taking characters like Serpent Society from publishing, who, as you know, are individuals dressed up as snakes and have snake-adjacent powers, you're always iterating and trying to figure out the version that tonally works best in a movie like this. We were trying to figure out, hey, who's somebody that can bring a very specific kind of gravitas that works with this tone? And when Giancarlo became available, it was such a no-brainer. As we evolved and iterated, Giancarlo just made sense, and what a blessing to have him in this film.
Now, how much of the Adamantium storyline is about global power struggles versus setting up the X-Men for the future?
It's more about global power struggles. I think that's the story of this movie. One of the things we were very mindful of as we start to head towards a world that introduces the X-Men, sort of seeding the ground so it doesn't feel like you're going to drink out of the fire hose with a lot of different concepts. If you think about it, you know, we've already said that Namor's a mutant. We've hinted that Miss Marvel may be as well through the end of her show. We want to start just sort of planting some seeds so that as we're building towards that idea, it feels like an organic story that's been happening rather than something that we just drop in the middle of this ongoing saga.
Who's a villain from the comics that we haven't seen yet that you would really love to see Captain America square up against?
I gotta see Zemo back, man. Gotta see Zemo. That's my man.
You know, I always thought Baron Blood was sort of an interesting character because it's sort of like this weird World War II era vampire. I also have always thought Masterman was an interesting sort of shadow side to Cap. Obviously, other countries would have tried to make super soldiers, but what would happen if unfortunately the Nazis had their own is sort of interesting.
Would you vote for Thunderbolt Ross for president in a real U.S. election?
I would vote for Harrison Ford any day of the week, I'll say that.
I don't know who he was running against. But I think there's a chance. Look, he's trying to do the right thing. The question is, are the sins of his past going to catch up with him?
With the introduction of Adamantium in Brave New World, how much crossover can we expect between this film and Black Panther 3 in the sense of, like, is Wakanda going to have a stake in this new global arms race?
I mean, I'm sure Wakanda will have an opinion about the arrival of Adamantium. And I'm sure Wakanda has an opinion of Sam Wilson as Captain America. Clearly, they seem to support him because they've given him some technology to help him out. Wakanda's also not in the best graces with the U.S. government, so there's possibility for conflict in a lot of different ways. I think, again, Wakanda, to me, gets to play in the same political thriller sandbox as Captain America because it does deal with sort of globalization and global politics, so anything is possible.
There's been a lot of talk about the future of Black Panther, especially online with reports that you're in the process of recasting T'Challa. So can you clarify if there's any truth to those rumors, or is T'Challa's story still off limits with Chadwick?
Yeah, I mean, the truth is there's no truth to those rumors. Never say never to anything. We haven't really had a lot of creative conversations with Ryan Coogler yet, mostly because he's finishing his film Sinners, which comes out this year. But we'll get into it sort of later this year. But everything you've read online is not true. For no other reason than we just haven't started.